This episode of Baby, This is Keke Palmer is sponsored by the good old folks over at Airbnb. Because some trips are better in an Airbnb. All right, y'all, let's get into it.
It's about a Black woman being believed.
Mm-hmm.
She's telling the social services, there's a demon in my house, and they don't they don't believe her.
It becomes this thing where, oh, you're the guy that has a twist in the end. We're tired of twists. Oh, you're the guy that has people having a hard life. We're tired of a hard life. Yeah. And it's like, okay.
Here's the bottom line, Keke. It's a damn shame I'm gay because I love Black women. I'd make a good husband if I wasn't gay. But here's the thing. There is nobody better than a Black woman. They are better drivers. They're better. They're just better at everything.
Now, you got to get in the car with me firstly.
Maybe not you, Keke.
Hello, Sharon.
Hello.
As always, it's so good to talk to you. This hair, I'm liking the extra length.
Yeah, I had a new Larry wig going on.
I love
it's a little long.
I
though.
don't cut it. I knew you were going to say you're going to cut it next. Don't cut it, Sharon, because I actually like this length on you.
Okay.
It's very, very cute. You're giving a little Jen Ann vibe. You know what I mean? It's like a lob. It's not really a bob.
When I first put it on, it was doing some Tina Turner stuff. So I had to flip it,
Flip it, slap it, and rub it down.
Oh, no.
Well, you do look good. I love that.
Well,
How you feeling today?
I feel pretty good. It's nice. Nice weather.
Nice weather. We're back in LA. We were in New York last time. I love
yeah.
when we get to be in person because I feel like we just really get into it together.
Yes.
I'm talking with your boy Lee today.
Oh, I love Lee.
I know. Lee loves you.
He is so awesome.
He is so awesome.
And funny. Yeah.
And remember when he did Pimp? That was amazing. When he came on board with that.
Yes.
So, I want to talk a little bit about true stories. Obviously, I love, a lot of Lee's films. They've made a huge impact, and a lot of times have been based off of true events. Mm-hmm. I'm curious, what is the first biopic or the, a movie that you found that was like, oh my gosh, that was a true story that really gagged you growing up?
Wow. I would have to say for me was the original Billie Holiday story with Diana Ross.
Really?
Yeah, I was a kid, but I saw that movie and Diana Ross did such a great job. But I just like the whole behind the scenes of the music industry, like that was really gritty, where she was getting paid to do shows for drugs. Mm-hmm. And then the whole racism thing where Billie Holiday was like the headliner at some of the greatest clubs throughout the world, the world, but in the country at the time, segregation was going on. So she would have to go through the kitchen in order to get to the stage.
Yep.
That was pretty deep. Mm-hmm. We often look at people who have addictions and we think they're weak.
Yeah.
But for her to have been a performer during segregation, going through all the stuff, when she wrote the song Strange Fruit, she had seen a man that was lynched. Like, could you imagine?
I know. I actually, when I saw Lee, I never seen Diana Ross's version, but I did see Lee Daniels' version, and it almost made me, like, I almost felt like I was going to slip into a depression.
Yeah.
When I actually saw that movie and that scene where she was singing that song and understanding where it came from and the impact of it. It's so hard sometimes to watch that stuff, even though you know the importance of it, and obviously what you're talking about with the empowerment factor, but it also takes you to a very kind of like hopeless place as well.
Yeah, and I know another one too, but let's talk about this one.
We know the other one that I'm going to say.
What you going to say?
What's love got to do with it?
And Temptations, though.
Oh my gosh! Mom, Temptations. We actually love biopics.
Yes.
Like that seemed like, and I'll be honest, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine where it's like, I feel like with our family, when we think about Black American culture, a lot of so much of it is like the slave storyline. We were slaves. Yeah. And it's like, okay, yeah, that is a part of the history. But I think sometimes that can have a interesting effect on you when you're always thinking about your story coming from this place that is often, told through the eyes of the oppressor and is very like, oh, sad, like victor. But I think that as a family, how you guys made us feel in the household about that history, about how far we've come, was also encouraged through these stories.
Absolutely.
Like Tina Turner, What's Love Got to Do with It? Like Michael Jackson, The American Dream. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
The Temptations.
Right.
We always looked to these stories and saw like what could be, like inspiration and pride, a sense of pride about our history.
And I remember taking you guys to see Michael Jackson's home. in Gary, Indiana.
Yep.
And because we didn't live that far from Gary, like 40 minutes from Gary. And I took you guys to see that home because I wanted you to see this guy came from this home, this little bitty home in Gary, Indiana. You know, he went from here to here. So I wanted you guys to have like visuals of anything is possible.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And sometimes you can dream and you can dream, you can dream, and if you just don't see it for yourself, then it's such a hard thing to imagine. So I remember that. But when you first saw the Michael Jackson story, like what was your impression of Michael and his family? What did you think of the whole entertainment industry and all that?
Well, first I said, well, if Michael was getting abused, then so was I. I was tired of getting my booty whooped. I hated whoopings. I really was upset about that shit too. So I felt, excuse me, I was upset, Mom, because I was like, damn, so I knew I wasn't supposed to be getting whooped. So I felt related.
And I'm asking you this because, like I said, we're both Midwest families, and he was raised in the same household that we were raised in.
I mean, it made me feel like, well, I want to be Michael.
Oh.
You know, I want to be able to, I love the bond of, obviously there's a lot of, you know, things that happen with Michael and Joe, you know what I mean? And he spoke about that, but he always still, even to the day he, you know, was gone, he always said, even with those troubles, I still love my father, and I wouldn't be who I was without my father. Yeah. And so I think that the love and the dedication and the responsibility that Michael took on, obviously another Virgo, at a very young age, I related to, and I wanted to kind of be that beacon of hope in my family too. I wanted to be able to carry on something that would make them proud. And I think seeing that movie at a young age and seeing how his family, they worked in a sense of a community. Like even though Michael Jackson, you know, and they had obviously the Jackson 5, it was a family business. Right. They all worked together to make that a thing.
Right. And I think for me, when I saw that movie, what was so surprising to me is how Jermaine was talented. Yeah. And Tito was actually playing the guitar, and they were real. And Marlon was actually teaching the dance steps, and so they all had their own unique talent.
And then as I grew up, I also thought about it in another layer when you think about like just like as a culture, how we've moved beyond some of just like the concept of, you know, whooping your kids, or just thinking about the era in which Joe Jackson was raising his sons. There was a particular scene where he's like, they're coming outside the thing, and I forget what he says, but he's talking about it. What I got from it was, I want my kids to be doing music, to be playing, learning how to play
and
stuff.
not working in the steel mill.
And not being in the streets. I want y'all to have more than a factory job and to be a street hustler. So if it means I got to cuss you out and wring you up by the neck because I need you to know that, hey, where your drum set at? Where's the stuff I got you? You need to focus on that. And it made me have a little bit of compassion for Joe, especially coming from where he was coming from. Who knows how he was raised? Yeah. Like, damn, he was doing the best he could to try and give his kids a better life. Are there any biopics that you feel misrepresented somebody? Now we about to get shady, child.
Yeah. I didn't particularly like, well, I'm just going to be honest. I didn't really like the James Brown. I love Chad, you know, the young man that played him and rest in peace. He's was a fantastic entertainer. So no shade on him. I think he did the best he could. I thought maybe the script wasn't there.
Well, I think you know, what's so interesting is I think this is sometimes, obviously, the Elvis Presley one was amazing, but it's amazing in the context in which you're viewing it from. And I think they did a similar thing with the James Brown one, where they kind of took the brand of the entertainer and prioritized that as opposed to really, you know, getting into maybe these nitty-gritty pieces. You know, like, that was like, I talked about it with some of my friends about the Elvis Presley one, and they were just saying that
did they like the Elvis Presley one?
So I think that the feedback was I really wanted to see who Elvis Presley was outside of the franchise that we know it to be. Meaning, it did talk about some things. It did talk about what he represented in those times racially. It did talk about his background and him growing up. But it was still done in kind of a way where it's like, you're not getting the wool pulled up. You're not getting under the hood. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing, I think, what you're saying with the James Brown one, where it really was stuck on what his impact was. Right. What kind of entertainer was. Why we love him. He's legendary. As opposed to what was really going on in his life. Yeah. And how is it? And I think that is honestly a choice, like, of how people want to do biopics. Like, it's a choice to want to do, you know, something like, what's the one? Walk the Line.
Yeah, that was good.
You know what I mean? It's a choice to do Walk the Line, where you like going nitty gritty with it.
Yeah.
Or like you were saying with the Billie Holiday, United States versus Billie Holiday, as opposed to giving us something that's a little bit more like, let's celebrate them.
Well, my experience with Elvis, and I'm 57 years old, my experience with Elvis was people either were super obsessed with him or wasn't into him at all. It was no middle ground. It was either super obsession or wasn't in, and your dad was super obsessed.
Yeah,
He
I knew
loved
that
him,
much.
yes.
And what I guess what I'll say is what they were focused on in this, again, you could tell life story of somebody from so many different angles. What they seem to be focused on in this one, in the Baz Luhrmann one, was his relationship with the Colonel and who the Colonel was in his life and how the Colonel, and it was a little bit about how this young boy was amazingly gifted. I thought the interesting part about it, what I learned was this was a time where now we the concept of blue-eyed soul is something that's very common. You know what I'm saying? You don't, Justin Bieber or Justin Timberlake. You know what I mean? Like you hear people that are quote unquote white and are soulful. I mean, obviously they're not quote unquote white. You either white or you're not. But you know what I'm saying?
Of course.
Could you imagine? It was in the movie. What was interesting was that the Colonel did circus shows, and what this movie brought to light to me was at that time when he saw Elvis Presley doing soul music, that was damn near like seeing a clown on stage.
Yeah.
Like he was like, damn, I ain't never, this is a magic trick.
Right.
And so I thought that was interesting, just the atmosphere of what things were like at that time. And then hearing about how people felt like with his music, if people like his music, then this is an entry point to integration. And he represents people blurring those lines. And that's not what we want, because the entry point to Elvis and entry point to soul music is the entry point to black people.
And black and white people coming together.
Exactly. And so all of that stuff was very interesting to me, and I really enjoyed it. But then other people might want to know about Elvis Presley's story about how he met his wife, or what he experienced with people giving him the prescription drugs. Like there's so many aspects to him. And so for me, I really enjoyed the movie from that perspective. But I think, hey, people always want to know something else. And
And I think, and we're going to wrap it up, but you made me think of the Bruce Lee story. That's what a lot of people thought about his story, that there was things missing. Like, it was a great biopic, but people wanted to know more about why he left where he was from, China, whatever country he's from. I don't want to say the wrong one, but they were like, he had some problems with his master, or what. People thought that Hollywood was holding back on what really, really happened to Bruce Lee. Did he really die from, brain aneurysm, or was he killed because of what he, so people were talking about that bio too when it came out.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, you know what I mean? People got to just, it's biopics. You got to figure out what you want to put in and what you want to put out, and respect to those that, how much they want to share, because, it's your life. Love talking with you. Now I'm about to get into it with Lee, and I'll talk to you later.
Awesome.
The streets call me Keke Palmer for good reason. Your girl is busy, okay? Producing this amazing podcast, writing my second memoir, running my own production company on top of acting, singing, dancing, and hosting. I'm working hard, but I need to play hard too. And for me, these days, playing honestly means resting. Yeah. And that's where Airbnb comes in, because there is nothing better than sending the group chat a quick weekend trip message, then immediately pulling up Airbnb's guest favorites to see what's highly rated, close by, and available ASAP for a quick girls-only weekend getaway. Baby, when I tell you we found the cutest little cabin in Joshua Tree outside LA, it was like our own private oasis. Y'all know I don't mind roughing it now and then, but my girlfriends do not share my rough and tumble proclivities. So glamping it is. Luckily, we got luxurious 5-star accommodations while still unplugging in nature to let our edges breathe. Yes, I said edges. Thank you, Airbnb. The best part was having our own kitchen to whip up some snacks and cocktails. No more cramming into a tiny hotel room, having to drink out of a paper coffee cup and serving, just not fabulousness, especially with the overpriced minibar options. In our Airbnb, we could truly let our hair down and make some memories. Listen, I'm trying to put y'all on game. Some trips are seriously better in an Airbnb. So the next time you need a girls trip or a staycation, check out the guest favorites on Airbnb first. If there's one thing I love, it's a good, scary story that gets your imagination running wild. And Audible has them in spades. Let me tell you, the audiobook I'm listening to is a straight-up thrilling ride. It's called The Haunted by Bentley Little. And this thing is not for the faint of heart, okay? It's officially spooky season, so why not listen to this horror novel by an author my sister was raving about? So The Haunted follows a family who moves into a house, right? A new house. And of course, this place is crawling with some serious supernatural activity. Strange noises, creepy visions, and all kind of unsettling stuff. And the more they try to get to the bottom of it, the deeper they get pulled into the twisted, terrifying mystery. See, the beauty of listening to a book like this on Audible is that the experience is wild and immersive. It's like the words are just seeping into your brain, making every hair on the back of your neck stand straight up. You're going to be picturing every last chilling detail, and you'll get spooked right alongside the characters. The suspense is going to have you on the edge of your seat, heart pounding, palm sweating, just perfect for this time of year. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's fall, I'm busy, I don't have time to listen to a whole audiobook, but that's when being an Audible member comes in clutch, besties, okay? As a member, you get to choose one title a month to keep forever in your library. And remember, Audible is made for your busy schedule, so you can listen at your own pace, whether you're commuting, working out, or just trying to escape the demons in your own home. Ooh. Just hit play on the Audible app. Thanks to Audible, there's more to imagine when you listen. New members can try Audible free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/Keke or text KEKE to 500-500. That's audible.com/KEKE or text KEKE to 500-500. Baby, this is Keke. Today's guest, you guys, is one of the most visionary creators in Hollywood today, okay? You might know him from films like Precious and The Butler, or the groundbreaking TV series Empire and Star. He's a director, producer, and writer who continues to push boundaries and tell powerful stories that resonate with audiences around the world. His latest project, The Deliverance, is making waves, and I cannot wait to dive into it. Guys, please welcome to the show, Mr. Lee Daniels.
Hello, beautiful. My Keke.
First of all, Lee, if anybody doesn't know, they should know that I love you. I've always been a fan of yours, but then we became friends when I met you. Literally, I guess it was like a year before you put me on Star, and we had a meeting in your office, and we immediately clicked. It was like I had known you for years, and you came on as a producer of this independent film that I did called Pimp,
God.
And we kind of always connected from then.
Yep. And that was when I had a new, profound understanding of your artist. Because I knew you as a little girl, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then you busted out in Pimp, and that was some stuff that I felt did not get the recognition. You did not get the recognition that you deserved to get. And that's why I'm continuing looking for things for you, because that was some next level stuff that just on another level. And I was so honored to put my name on it, because it was just sick where you went to. Like,
thank you.
I believed you.
Thank you so much. It was truly an honor, and I think you lending your name to it was really important, and got the eyes that did see it to see it because of who you are, and so you watching that and you feeling that. For me, that was like a huge evolution for me in my career, just being able to have somebody like you really see what I was trying to do as an artist at that time.
Yeah, it was radical, and it was scary. I couldn't believe you wanted to do it, because that's daring. Not many people want to do that. No, Keke, I'm serious. You know what you did.
Well, I can't wait till we get to do a project from the ground up. Because speaking of daring, you are a very, very daring writer, director. You're always doing amazing work that makes people question or think differently. And currently you have the new movie coming out, The Deliverance. And it's more of a horror. Like, you kind of did a little bit of that with The Reading. But this one is also based on a true story. So I kind of want to know, like, what was that true story that you found, and what made you want to put it into a film?
Right. I didn't tell the actual story, but I told it based on a true story. It's the true story of LaToya Amons, whose children were possessed. So they were going to school with bruises on, and the teacher called the cops, and the principal and the social worker and everybody came to the house to take the kids, and they find out that the kids are walking backwards up the stairs. Everybody does. All fact, all documented. They videotaped it. So, but they still had to take the kids because the kids had bruises on them. So LaToya is fighting the demon that's in her house and social services for her kids back at the same time. this black woman who's not being heard because they believe that they still think that how can this be happening? They couldn't explain it. And it's all court documented and everything. My version of it is that Monique plays a social worker trying to get Andra Day's children back from her because she thinks that she's beating them. But then they find out.
I just have to stop and ask this because I'm still stuck on that you said that was a true story. So that was there was nothing else unsolved. They were 100% was possessed and that was just it, period, end, no more.
Yeah. They had a deliverer come in to take the evil spirits out of her. And she had to find Jesus because she was an alcoholic too. She was an alcoholic. She was a drug addict. And
the mother was.
The mother was. So she really had to, Latoya. So she had to find Jesus to save her kids. So it's really about finding Jesus. It's about finding your higher power, albeit Buddha or Allah or whoever you believe in. I think that we're in a dark time right now. And for me, the reason why I'm doing it just creatively is because I think that we need to find at any given moment we can be out here.
People had to get back reconnected in their inner. For me, my inner is God. That's the foundation. I know exactly what you mean by that. And I get what you're saying is like, we got to go back to something that makes us feel connected. We're so disconnected. Yeah. We don't have no sense of community. I mean, I'm not trying to put that on everybody, but I do know what you mean where it seems like, damn, we, feel just kind of chaotic. And I think for me, what brings me down to my peace is definitely that reconnection with the source. So.
And let me ask you something. Don't you find that social media, I almost think it's the devil because I just start scrolling in the middle of the night. I just get up and I start scrolling and before I know it, I'm in it. And I've lost my spirit. I've lost my soul. I'm jealous of this person or I'm like laughing at this person or putting down that person. And to me, it's the devil. I think, unless you know how to handle it.
When we keep reaching out externally, even if we don't mean to, like, I don't think anyone goes to social media, like you're saying, and is looking to feel a certain way. But it is something with the likes and the posting. And there's a level of external validation that comes with it. So when you do feed in it too much, you will find yourself feeling like you need it from the outside. And when you're looking at on the outside, it stops you from going on the inside. We always got to check back in with the inside and things that can't be validated on the outside in order to feel good with ourselves. So, in doing the Deliverance and for this being the reason and the drive that made you want to do it, how much of you, because I'm curious, when I think about projects like this, was there any nervousness of dealing with the possession and the exorcism, especially with black folks? Black folks are real like spooky when it comes to like possessions and like, church stuff. We like, wait a damn minute, what's this horror movie doing? So how did you want to approach that, the realities of that, or the skepticism? You know what I'm saying? We'd be like, wait a minute.
I think it's a faith-based thriller. Again, it's about finding your higher power. So it's not really I don't think it's a straight up horror flick. It doesn't have that, those jump scares that horror flicks have. I'm a big fan of The Exorcist and old school Rosemary's Baby and The Omen, where you're invested in these characters and then it's a slow burn. And then all of a sudden you think it's Precious. You think she's beating her kids. Then halfway through the movie, I yank the rug from out of you and you find out that there's a demon in the house. So you really think that, that she's beating her kids. She's drinking. She slaps her kid in the first scene. But then also, what defines abuse within our Black culture? Like, what defines abuse? And also, I don't know. It brings up many topics. Like,
Well, I was even going to say, what defines demon? Because if you're talking about she's drinking, she's having, I remember whenever I would watch The Conjuring and they would say, name the demon in your life, name the demon and you can get it out. It made me think to myself, well, that's no different than saying I'm suffering depression. That's the demon in my life. Or I have an addiction. That's the demon in my life. Like, so I think there's something interesting with, obviously not, we're talking about the Deliverance, the story, maybe not the real woman, but there's something to say about the connection between her addressing the issues in her life is also her removing the demon that's casting a shadow over her life and her ability to save her kids. It's very
good. Very good, Keke. Also, it's about a Black woman being believed because she's telling the social services, hey, there's a demon in my house. And they don't they don't believe her. They think, and Black women are never believed. But even with Kamala Harris, we see that she's not believed by her own people. Are you with me? So it's about when a Black woman tells you something, believe her.
Yeah. And we could obviously there's tons of propaganda that brings that to be a reality, but this is not even a real. I don't know if it's not a real question, but it kind of like when you're thinking of that, when you're doing this movie. I mean, what is it to that? How do we get people to believe black women? You know what I'm saying? Like what can really change that? We have years of
as an
oppression,
artist,
years of yeah.
As an artist telling stories like this, and as a president, there's something karmic about her. She will win, but there's something karmic about a black woman who got off a slave ship and was literally feeding America, breastfeeding America. And now she is just all these years later feeding America in a different way.
I was talking to my friend about this that was talking about the whole Drew Barrymore, the mamala, and he was giving me a different, he was just like, why is it that black women who are considered one of the most oppressed and discarded people in, world, America, why are they then always put in the position of having to clean it all up? And what does that mean for black women in their sense of identity of having to always rise to the occasion of, you know what? I'm ready to do. Okay, everything's going downhill. All right, I'll be the president when everything is impossible to change and impossible to shift.
Here's the bottom line, Keke. It's a damn shame I'm gay because I love black women. I think that I'd make a good husband if I wasn't gay. But here's the thing. Because there is nobody better than a black woman. There's nothing better. Nothing better. Nothing. They are better drivers. They're better. They're just better at everything.
Now, you got to get in the car with me firstly.
Maybe not you, Keke, but I bet you a better driver with that baby next to you. I bet you focus there.
Okay. Now, that's for real. That is for real. Oh, my gosh. You're so crazy. Well, let's talk about, obviously, Monique is in this movie. We have Andra Day in this movie. We have Andra New Ellis. But Monique and Andra, you've worked with before. I want to talk about, because you said it earlier, you were like, Monique, it was good to work with her again. Well, let's talk about it. How was it working with her again? What was the vibe of this film? I know you guys have spoken since all the stuff in public as well.
Yeah. But I want to talk about that too, because there was this young, just like you came to me with Pimp. I love I love artists. I love writers. I love directors. I love giving back. It's not about keeping the gift. The gift is passing it on, making sure that you know about Melba Moore, making sure that you are constantly about passing it on, Keke. Is so important because we are forgotten like that. And so this kid came to me with this incredible film when I wasn't speaking to Monique. It was that horror movie that she did.
The Reading?
The Reading, yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. So this kid came to me and said, can you help me with it? And so I said, sure, not knowing. So I sat there and helped him edit the movie. Spent about 5 months helping him edit. Monique didn't know it. But I'm watching how great she is, what a great actor she is. And I missed her. And I was like, you know what? Let me just call her up and tell her, you don't know this, but I'm working on your movie to help this kid. And let me apologize to you. And let me apologize to you publicly for anything that I've done for you. And let me put you in a movie. And let me make sure you get paid well. Because that was part of my finding my light, finding my higher power. So it was so good for me.
I do want to ask about that in terms of, when we're talking about the apology, because my understanding of it is, obviously, we know when you do a movie, you only have so much money. You only have so much, especially when you're going into marketing and into promotions and figuring out how to put all that stuff out and how to get the people there. And then you got the campaigns when you're trying to do the campaigns for the Academy Award. There's so much that goes into it where obviously I don't know everything that, I was following a little bit, but from my understanding, it was, it's difficult. It's not, I don't know how, I feel like your hands was tied with some of it.
But here's the thing. I was friends with her. And I abandoned that friendship, listening to people. And I shouldn't have listened to people. I did abandon her. I abandoned her. And I abandoned her because we was like this, boom. You know what I mean? Like this. That's how we got that performance out of Precious. That's why I'm dying to work with your ass, because I know what we're going to do. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm serious. I know what we're going to do. So it's like that with Monique. I was like this. And so she went to the left when I wasn't present for her. And so for that, I feel terrible about it.
So when she spoke out in the public, you're saying you felt like you abandoned her then?
Yes.
I get it. I get it. I get it.
You know.
I mean, this industry is tough in terms of
isn't it tough?
It is, because you're navigating. This is the thing that I feel like happens a lot of times when we try to share what's happening in industry, whether it's we getting paid not enough, or, you know, we don't get enough marketing, or we, you know, it's just always so much stuff that people think is a given. That's not with the industry. And then you have relationships inside of that, and you're trying to maintain your friendships. Or you got somebody to do the movie for a lower price, and they not paying enough for that, and you're just trying to do so much. And I feel like a lot of times when that stuff is out there, it becomes difficult for people to know who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. Yes. And if there is a good guy or a bad guy, or if there's just not standing up for your friend, or there's not having somebody back when they don't know how to handle a situation, or when the situation goes left. So I do think that's, you know what I mean? So I do think it's awesome that you guys, you know, got to that point, because I wasn't sure that anybody was a bad guy. But I did feel like a lot of business just just went all over the place.
And she should be working, you know, she should be working, which is exciting. And I think she's incredible in this film. And I'm looking forward to working with her again. She's an incredible artist, Keke.
Yeah, she is. So. I mean, I've loved her since all the way back of the Parkers. So, I mean, Nikki.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people don't. I mean, that was high level I Love Lucy types.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Crazy.
Real comedy. Real iconic sitcom, multicam comedy that you don't get anymore. So definitely has range, very gifted.
And then I worked with Andra Day because, you know, we worked together on United States versus Billie Holiday together. And I felt like, you know, I just wanted to work with her again. She was a devout Christian, and I needed someone to really believe, because when she's facing the devil, there's a scene that I wrote, and she just sort of ignored the words and started speaking in tongue. And the AD was like, because she speaks in tongue. And so when the AD starts saying, well, should we cut, boss? Should we cut? I go, no, that's God working. So when she's fighting the demon, she's speaking in tongue, and it's just, I just let her wear her heart out, and then I yelled cut when she was on the floor sobbing. So yeah, she's spectacular in film. And then it's Glenn Close. Glenn Close plays her mother, and I really wanted to hit this home. I wanted to hit it home. Glenn Close plays this white woman who only has sex with black men, has a black daughter and blacker grandkids, got baby hair and hoops and cut off Daisy Dukes. And
she like that lady on TikTok that say, if you looking for, you want a boss, you looking at one.
Matter of fact, that's who I told her to study.
Period. That's who I told her to study. I love that lady. I love that lady.
Me too, right? Because we know that lady. We know that lady. You know, we all know that lady. And I think black people know that lady. And that's exciting that I'm able to bring that type of a character to the screen. Also, you know, to talk about mixed race, a lot of my mixed race friends, you know, have mothers that, what is it like to have a white mother and be black? And what is that whole dynamic? And I'm throwing you a curveball by saying how messed up this family is. We're looking at the family, like what that dynamic is of being biracial, and the mother that's just like messed up. And when you're not really you're paying attention to the story, but not the demon.
Baby, this is Keke Palmer, yeah.
As I mentioned earlier, I'm not the only Palmer addicted to listening on Audible. I've been a member for years, and my sister and the rest of my family have been converted as well. The beauty of Audible is that they've got the most incredible selection out there. Bestsellers, new releases, exclusive Audible originals, you name it, they've got it. And as a member, you get to choose one title a month to keep forever. So you can dive into all kinds of genres, discover new favorites, and get inspired anytime, anywhere. And whether you're listening to stories, motivational talks, expert advice, or any other genre you love on Audible, your mind will take flight. You can picture new worlds, fresh possibilities. I mean, it's like you're living and breathing it all. There's just something about listening that unlocks your imagination and allows you to expand your horizons. I mean, with Audible, there's more to imagine when you listen. And you know what that means, right? Positive change, sis. Yes, listening on Audible can seriously boost your mood, tweak your habits, and level up your overall well-being. It's a total game changer. New members can try Audible free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/Keke or text Keke to 500-500. That's audible.com/KEKE or text KEKE to 500-500. I want to touch on something, you know, with you saying this, that you have brought up earlier. Obviously, your love for black women, the way you feel to honor them. But then also, it doesn't make you afraid to write very nuanced characters that are struggling with things, or to share those stories of Black women, whether it is Monique's character in Precious, whether it is Andra Day's character as Billie Holiday, and all the ups and downs of that woman and that person. And then,
Monsters Ball with Halle Berry.
Monsters Ball with Halle Berry. How do you balance, like, okay, I already know this is the things that Black women are up against. These are the ways that they're stigmatized. But then I'm going to write these characters that may sometimes lean into those stereotypes. How do I keep the integrity of it and just let people know I'm telling the story as well?
Yeah. I just don't think that Black women get those types of complicated roles. That's how it started. It started because Black women simply don't get complicated roles. They get easy roles. And if white women can get the complicated roles, why can't Black women get the complicated roles? I grew up with a family of 8 Black beautiful aunts who just like nourished me, understood my gayness, and showered me with love. And so I think that those women, I honor those women and those complicated women of the 60s. But yeah,
I
you know
just
what I mean?
love what you're saying, because I do think, and I've spoken about this before, I've spoken about it with Tyler Perry, I've spoken about it with Justin Simeon, where we always are speaking about Black people, we need diversity in the film industry, but then they don't want diversity in our characters in the film industry. It's like every character has to be absolutely perfect, and we all gotta be Diane Carroll. We all gotta be Diane Carroll, honey, with no Claudine. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Wait a minute. With no Claudine. You should play that. We should do a remake of that. Okay? Wouldn't that be fierce? Wouldn't that be
when
really
she was
fierce?
fighting that daughter when she came in. Let me see your titties. I kept thinking to myself, why does she need to see her titties? Anyway.
Oh, you're so stupid. But yes, it's complicated. It's complicated, Keke. And it's not just about Black women. For me, it's about for me, queer people. It's about I was out here, and I was here doing this pre-Spike Lee, post the Black exploitation era. Not only was I laughed at by studio executives, but I was laughed at by my own people for being gay. And so, like, my first movie, Monsters Ball, that was, that development money was drug money. You know what I'm saying? I would fall on the sword. I would fall on the sword for my craft. And with that drug money, we got her an Oscar. The first Black woman to get an Oscar, so and no studio ever has given me money for a film. The first time I got money, Butler, United States versus Billie Holiday, Precious, Boswell, they're independently financed. Nobody was fucking with me.
I think it's so important for you to speak on this, because a lot of times I think people, again, this is one of those things with the industry, which again, I've always loved about you, Lee, and that I wish people knew is like, and I feel this way all the time when people don't understand always the industry, and like everything is not millions and millions of dollars. People are really out here, scraping things together. And then you want to talk about awards, and you want to talk about, all of that stuff can get quite political, and you have to have money for it. You have to have money to be able to showcase something and to make it look the part and get people to want to watch it. And so I would love for you to speak to your process of getting to that point of being able to damn near, just get your movie made, because it's not as easy as people to think.
It's not at all. And that's why I so delved into Pimp, and why I delved into the reading and other types of Black art, because it is impossible to get it. And so I feel like, I resent a little bit, and I shouldn't, the new generation of, well, studios owe me this and studios owe me that. Studios owe you nothing. Like, ain't nobody owed me nothing. I had to go out and do what I had to do to make sure. And even to these young kids today, I said, you got an iPhone, you can do it. You know what I mean?
And if you're waiting on them, you might never get it, babes.
You will never get it. And you are a prime example of someone that has done whatever it is that you wanted to do. You know what I mean? So
thank you.
And
I spent a lot of my own money for it. You know what I mean? I did. And that's why I always try to tell people that, because I do think there is a misconception about this industry. And I'm not saying that you can't get what you deserve and that you can get what you want, but your true value and your true self-worth is not in the same conversation as how to make business decisions in this corporation, in this world. It's just not. Like, when it came to me doing my social media, it came at a time where nobody wanted to give me what I asked for. Not the roles. Like you said, the roles weren't even there. I had to find my roles. I had to find a movie like Pimp, and I had to wait 5 years for it to get to money so I could play the role, so that I could meet Lee Daniels 2 years later and get him to be a part of it. And so it's like, I just always feel like we got to be real with ourselves in terms of, you got to lay the groundwork. You got to be willing to invest in yourself. And then that's when you can, say, hey, be a part of this. You can be the one that
Yes.
makes the rules. You can be the one that figures out how to get it done. But when we don't tell that truth, I then think it becomes difficult for other people to realize what kind of work they're going to have to put in to get to where they want to go.
Yes. And I think that part of it was the whole thing with Empire, because after Butler came along, I realized that I didn't, like, we are winning all these Oscars for people. I'm responsible for first Black writer getting an Oscar, you know, all this, like, I'm winning all these awards, but I'm not making any money. And so I had to, as opposed to doing Empire as a musical film, I said, you know, I got to put my kids through college. And so I had to sort of say, okay, what do I start doing? So I started negotiating with myself and then threw myself into Empire. And then listen, we came at a time, I didn't even know that I was too worried about Cookie's hat, Cookie's wig, Jamal's song. I was too, what the boys is going to be singing, that I didn't know that we were creating a pathway for Black Panther, for Insecure, for Blackish, for the Black Renaissance in television to happen. That happened. You know, I didn't really know, because I'm an artist at the end of the day, and I wasn't aware of the business that was going on around it.
You know, you've done a lot of stuff that is based on things, right? Like, you know, we're talking about the United States versus Billie Holiday. We're talking about the Deliverance. You know, why do you want to take on, like, or what is the importance to you of these kind of like dramatized tellings of historical, you know, facts?
Well, I don't think our stories get told. I think that our stories simply, and if they do get told, they don't get told by the right storyteller. They get told by somebody that doesn't understand.
We talked about this.
The specificity of the African American experience. Because if you don't know to put hot sauce on the fried chicken, baby, hit it, get out. Don't tell the story. You know what I mean? You got to know what a neck bone tastes like to tell the story of a woman making neck bones. It's that. You know what I mean? So don't come for me. Don't come for me with your cornstarch Jesus.
I'm on the low. But obviously when doing that, it's a very heavy thing, right? Because you got to get it right, whatever getting it right is. And it's hard to make everybody happy. It is.
It's so hard.
It really is.
Really,
obviously, this was a major success. But during it, you know, when it came to the facts of the Billie Holiday story, how were you deciding what you wanted to put in, what you didn't want to put in? How did you, figure that out?
Well, everything first starts with, when you're dealing with African Americans, first, for me, it starts with fashion. So I made sure that Prada did all of her gowns, that we stepped right into, because Billie Holiday was that kind of chick. And I made sure that everybody was in Prada. So Prada, it was their second time doing it. They did it for Baz Luhrmann's and Leonardo DiCaprio's Great Gatsby. And then they did it for me, where they came in and they did
I love that.
fashion.
Shout outs to Prada.
Yeah. So, but it starts with fashion, and then starts with the music. The music has to be just right. And then it starts with the actors. The actors have to be, all of them have to be perfect. You know what I mean? I love actors. I love actors.
Yeah,
You know,
I know you do.
They are, they are my get
It really
high.
is beautiful.
Because I know how hard it is for so many actors out there. You know what I mean? It's hard. For every Keke, there's 100,000 chicks that want that dream. And that
Yes, that's right.
many of them won't get it. You know what I mean? But they're willing to expose themselves daily to try to get it.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. Let me tell you something. Even when you are a Keke Palmer and you're sitting out there and you are exposing yourself, you are exposing yourself. You are opening yourself up, saying, look at me, criticize me. This is, they ready to, and the bigger you are, the more darts they want to throw at you.
That's so true. So you've experienced, obviously, backlash. But I want to talk specifically about what you said the reaction was to your film, The Paperboy, where you felt like it almost drove you out. Why? Why would you say that for those who haven't seen the movie?
Because, it's my favorite movie. It's one of my favorite movies that I've done. After Monsters Ball, I was offered all these, like, Who's My Baby's Mama and everything. It was like part 6, like Boys in the Hood, Leprechauns from the Hood, that kind of crazy shit.
I did love Leprechaun in the Hood.
All right, you did. I didn't. Okay. But anyway, so I'm an artist. I'm not just a Black artist. I'm a director. I'm not just a Black director. I'm a gay director. I'm everything. I can work with white people, So I purposely went out and did Paperboy after Precious, and we got a standing ovation at Cannes that was longer than Precious at Cannes. And yet, white critics who don't understand me, don't understand my work, came for me hard. White critics don't understand me. If I were European, maybe they would, but unless they were put in a trash can as a kid, unless they had to steal for their family food as a kid, I'm the oldest of 5 kids, unless you saw all of your friends die of AIDS in the 80s, like you don't got no friends and you're lucky to be alive and without HIV, unless you have walked in my shoes, you can't judge my cinema because those are my stories. And that's not a story that a white man in his 60s, and those are the critics, can judge, if that makes any sense at all. Backlash to me is like, okay, like I don't understand you, Lee Daniels, I don't understand, but artists understand and people that have been through the experience understand.
100%. And I do think as an artist, it becomes this thing where I've seen it with every director, every popular and successful director, where they are not judged, first of all, correctly in the genre of film that they're trying to make, but then they're almost criticized for being a consistent artist. What I mean by that is, I remember seeing the reviews recently from M. Night Shyamalan's new movie Trap, which was obviously meant to just be an entertaining flick. He wasn't trying to make any big statement. I'm sure he knows the difference between that and the other movie that he has, Split. But it becomes this thing where, you're the guy that has a twist in the end. We're tired of twists. Oh, you're the guy that, you're the guy that has people having a hard life. We're tired of a hard life. Yeah. And it's like, okay, but that's what Harmony Korine like to do. Where exactly. It's like, understand, like, you can't, or even they do it with rappers. Megan, you have the same flow. Well, that's called style in a brand. So it's like, it gets to a point as an artist where it's like, people want you to not be the artist that you are, to go against the grain of what your lens is, to prove something to them, when it's okay to have a niche, especially when you can make your niche also something that is universal, which is something that I think you've been able to do. Like, you have a style and a vibe. That's what we know as Lee Daniels. But everybody can view it from any spectrum, whether you like Precious or whether you like Empire, whether you like, you know what I mean? So how do you as an artist, like, not let that affect you?
Well, let me tell you, right after I did another movie called The Woodsman. It was about a pedophile. Kevin Bacon starred in it.
Love Kevin Bacon. Brilliant.
And Kira Cedric. So my mother was like, okay, can you make a movie like Tyler Perry? I go, what do you mean? She was like, well, the people at the church said something wrong, something happened to us. And can you just make a normal movie? I said, Mom, what's a normal movie? Can you just make a movie like Tyler Perry? She loves Tyler Perry. So can you just make a movie like Tyler Perry? So I was like, okay, Mom. And I made The Butler. I shut that damn bitch up at the church, that's for sure. Because that was PG-13. I couldn't do PG. I did PG-13. And I was like, and they fell out. I said, I can give you that. Okay, so here's that. Okay.
But you still did it your way, which is the thing. It's so amazing to get into a different bag if you are so inspired or inclined to. But I think what's so important is doing it your way. And I hate obviously that's the pressures of being an artist. It happens to all of us. But it's cool.
But I think they really, not to cut you off, but I really do think they come for, I don't play politics, I don't know how to play the game. I wish I played the game better with making sure that, my brand was on point. My brand is honesty. My brand is, the flaws that we all have as human beings. And my brand is my love of actors and my love of the craft. That's all my brand is, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and people show their love in a different way. I think there's something that's so crucial in this conversation where you said that a version of your activism for these Black female stories or these Black stories in general is also coming from the place of letting an actor getting an opportunity to act. You understand? And that's important for us. The diversity that we're talking about, for an actor to have a role like Pimp or the actor to have a role like you said, Halle Berry in Monsters Ball, whether you want to criticize the film or not, what's also being done is he's still creating space. There's still something that's happening in this perspective that you might be missing.
And also, what John Singleton taught me, which was really the most important thing, was that you try to surround yourself with as many African-American department heads. And I didn't understand that until I couldn't get John a job on on like I wanted John to come in and direct episode 2 of Empire, and the studio said he's never directed television before, so he couldn't. I was like, wait a minute, we're gonna have a problem because Keke, there weren't Black directors that were directing television then. And I forget that Empire changed the game. They were going to sit here, and I was saying, no, we're going to find a Black room of writers. We're going to find a Black director. Sorry, this doesn't work. Well, and I don't know whether it was inherent racism or it was the way the system worked, because Black people weren't working in the system. But I couldn't get John Singleton to direct an episode. They wanted some white guys. No. And I think that that's what killed John, because John wanted to do John wanted to do, he said, Lee, I want an empire. I want my own empire. I got this thing about drugs, and it was Snowfall. I said, John, your artist is harder than mine. You know, you from Compton, nigga. You will fall on the sword.
Yeah, but he changed the game in so many ways that I think you're hitting on a really big point, whether it might be a little bit of all. It could be systemic racism. It could also be this whole system that the corporate and all of that stuff. It's a whole thing. You know, people don't understand that the entertainment industry is just like any other industry. It's an industry.
Exactly.
It's a corporation.
And that's why people can say what they... Exactly. And that's why they can talk about Tyler until they blue in the face. But Tyler, okay? You okay?
Okay,
Right.
because what
Get it
Tyler
right.
did, what Tyler
That's
did,
what he did. Yes, sir.
it's crazy, and it's the truth, and it's insane to see it, and it's done in the same way that we're talking about, where I always say, be true to yourself. As an artist, be true to yourself. Follow your audience. Do your thing. Everybody don't have to like it for you to be a success and for you to change the game. Okay, before we go, I have to play this game with you. I play a game with all of my guests, and I wanted to play this game called Dark But True or Hollywood Fiction. So I'll read you some short blurbs, and you'll tell me whether they're real stories, like real news stories, or if they're bits from fictional films. Okay, sounds good?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, Tennessee police put out a warning that flushing drugs down the toilet will lead to meth-addicted alligators. Dark but true or Hollywood fiction?
Hollywood fiction.
That's actually true.
Shut up!
Meth-addicted alligators? That meth gotta be... I ain't never heard of no animal being addicted to drug. Meth is some other shit, ain't it? Woo! That's crazy. It's getting the animals' addictions? Whoa.
Hold on, girl. Hold on.
I know, right?
Let me just wrap my head around that one.
Time for you to do an adult animation.
I would never... That's a real hard story. I would never want to run up no alligator on meth. That's for damn sure.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes. Go ahead. What's the next one?
Okay. In New York City, people committed suicide as the result of a neurotoxin from plants. Dark but true or Hollywood fiction?
Hollywood fiction.
That's fiction. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay. A Nebraska man drove a 2,200-pound bull named Howdy Doody, riding in the passenger seat of his car. Dark but true or Hollywood fiction?
No, that's true. I think I heard about that. That's true. Is that true?
It is true.
Dark but true. Yeah, I knew it. I heard about that. That's just recent. That's recent.
Okay, a wealthy businessman faked his own death and pled to a remote island to avoid criminal charges, only to be discovered when he orders a pizza from his favorite restaurant back home. Dark but true or Hollywood fiction?
If it ain't Hollywood fiction, it should be. If it's probably dark but true, but it should be a movie because that's a good movie.
That is a good-ass movie, and it's absolutely true, which means it might be up your alley because you love a based on. So, I mean, maybe I'm the businesswoman that faked her death. No.
You want a cut?
Okay.
You gonna get your cut as a producer? Because you in everybody's pot, okay? I'll get you and Chris Brown to star together.
Come on! It's your man on the floor. Child.
You know how I feel about Chris.
But that's way back when me and you was talking about the Wiz, me as Dorothy and him as the Scarecrow.
You introduced me to Chris.
I'm telling you.
Anyway, go ahead. What's the next one? That's for real. Yep.
Okay, here we go. Last one. A woman arrived at a rental property in Detroit for a job interview and discovered a secret corridor in the basement leading to a room with a camera. Dark but true or Hollywood fiction?
Hollywood fiction. That's
Hollywood
a movie.
Fiction. You're amazing. I love you, Lee. I cannot wait to see the Deliverance.
Thank you for having me on.
Thanks for coming on.
Baby, this is Keke